But in terms of this affordability, do you find it interesting that we're not talking about $7 trillion in spending under the Biden administration and 40-year highs in inflation? I mean, isn't that the affordability crisis that really started all of this, and it was at the Democrats' hands?
The affordability crisis, the higher healthcare costs, the higher childcare costs, the higher food prices, partly because of tariffs. And then Trump's China policy isn't working. Look, China has the biggest trade surplus in recent years. And our trade deficit, Maria, despite all the tariffs, is projected to be higher than in 2024. At some point, people have to look at the numbers.
Okay, so you're saying that the affordability crisis had nothing to do with 40-year high inflation under Joe Biden and $7 trillion in new spending? Is that what you're saying?
No, look, there was post-COVID spending that was both Donald Trump, including the CARES Act that he signed, and there was spending by President Biden to deal with COVID. It led to lower unemployment insurance, but yes, it increased inflation. But that is not the current cost of the affordability crisis, which is private insurance ripping people off on their health care prices, childcare skyrocketing, the cost of rent skyrocketing, the cost of groceries skyrocketing. President said he would lower those prices day one.
That goes back to Joe Biden's policies, Congressman. You can't get out of that like overnight, right?
No, that's like FDR in his 4 terms still blaming the previous presidents. I think the reason this is happening, you've got an economy in my district, $18 trillion, tax breaks for the billionaires, and no one has done anything on the childcare, healthcare, housing costs of the American people.
Welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of BBB, otherwise known as Bad Blame Biden. I'm your host, Elliott Morgan. This is my last video of the year for Rebel HQ, and that was Ro Khanna explaining to Fox News that there is, in fact, not a simple answer for the present affordability crisis. And you know that had to upset Fox News' audience, right? Because simple is it's kind of their whole thing, you know? But hey, at least employment is going really well, right, Jessica Tarlov? Right, Jessica? Go ahead.
But people are sick of waiting in terms of the jobs since Liberation Day, which is when most people look at as when things kind of start taking a turn for the worse. We've only added 17,000 jobs on a monthly basis. There are over 700,000 Americans who are unemployed today versus this time last year. That's a huge number. Unemployment for young Americans is over 10%. If you took out healthcare sector hiring, would be negative completely.
Did you guys hear a train just now, or is that? Oh no, okay, yeah, no, it was a train. It was just it flew off the tracks and it's bursting into a ball of flames. Anyway, sorry about that. Did she say that there are now 700,000 more people unemployed than there were this time last year? Because that sounds far-fetched. So to fact check it, let's look at Fox News. So to fact check it, let's turn now to Fox News.
4.6 is probably the number moving the needle right now.
This is the highest unemployment since September of 2021. Earl, you've got the October numbers as well.
We got October non-farm payrolls data. We saw a loss of 105,000 jobs non-farm for the month of October.
This is so weird. Another train just hit the other train and burst into like an even bigger ball of flames. It's like everywhere I look, there's just another train wreck. Anyway, here is Governor Josh Shapiro explaining to the people that they can, in fact, trust what their own eyes are seeing. It's a third train just hit the other. I mean, how's that even possible?
I also thought it was somewhat ironic that on a day when a terrible jobs report came out, J.D. Vance was in a community where Mack Truck is, who had to lay off 300 people in the Lehigh Valley because of the president's tariffs and the vice president's tariffs. Their failed economic policies are hurting the good people of Pennsylvania. Now contrast that with what we've done. We've brought Republicans and Democrats together to cut taxes 7 different times, put money back in people's pockets. We've got the only growing economy, Pennsylvania does, in the northeastern part of the United States. Our bond rating is up. We've got about an $8 billion surplus. We're in strong shape, and we're showing calm and steady leadership. Contrast that with the chaos coming out of the Trump-Vance administration. I think it is insulting to the people of Pennsylvania that this guy shows up and lies to the good people of Pennsylvania and tries to convince them to unsee something they saw with their own eyes, rising prices at the grocery store and elsewhere. So I guess JD was afraid to upset his boss, and this is what you get, more lies here in Pennsylvania. Good people of Pennsylvania are pretty darn smart, and I know they'll reject JD's BS.
Absolutely, Governor Shapiro. I too hope people can see through the JDBS, but this is BBB and there is Biden blaming to do, which is weird if you think about it, right? Because why would they even need to blame Biden when everything is going so great? Like, don't you feel that way? Don't you feel that this country is on the right track? Don't you feel like where we're headed is absolutely perfect? Oh, and a fourth train just hit the other three. Who's scheduling these trains? Pete Buttigieg?
The U.S. on the right track or the wrong track right now? New numbers out this morning offer a new snapshot of how Americans are really feeling about the direction of the country at the moment. And the data cuts across party lines and seems to also cut across the map. CNN's Harry Enton is running the numbers all over the map on this for you. Harry, what'd you find?
I like going traveling, Cape Paul.
We all do.
We all do. Look, you know, what it was, the NBC News poll came out this weekend, and I saw this wrong track number, and it just kind of jumped out to me because it was 66%. And one of the things I always like to look at is, you know, Donald Trump historically has done better than his polling suggested, but this right track, wrong track numbers have generally tracked with what actually the country is feeling. We see 66% there, more than 3 in 5 Americans who say the country's on the wrong track. Ipsos, 61%. MU, Marquette University Law School, 64%. Gallup, 74% of Americans say they are dissatisfied with the state of the nation. You see it on your screen right there. And all of these numbers that I could find were the highest percentage who said that the country was on the wrong track since Donald Trump took office. It's not just Trump's poll numbers, his disapproval that's going higher and higher and higher. It's the wrong track numbers that are going higher and higher as well.
Yeah, so if you're keeping a count at home, we're up to about 15 trains that have all just flown off the tracks and collided into one another, and they've created a ball of fire that's roughly the width of the horizon. So someone should probably call 911 or whatever. Anyway, here's Sarah Matthews explaining the difference between a golden age and a gilded age. You're not going to believe it. The difference is not subtle.
And Trump tries to say in the White House, Caroline Leavitt, they all say that we're in the golden age of America, but it is more like the gilded age, where we're seeing that the policies that they're putting forth are benefiting Trump and his rich allies and his family. His net worth has ballooned by billions of dollars during his second presidency. And he can't understand then why people are out there complaining about an affordability crisis, because he has never had to go to probably never even stepped foot in a grocery store, but has never had to go to the grocery store and worry about, can I put food on the table for my family? Because he's completely out of touch. And at least back in the day, he was doing these rallies and traveling all around the country and meeting with your everyday average American and hearing their concerns and talking with voters face to face, or at least when he was doing his rally speeches, he'd be able to see what plays well with the crowd and he'd be able to tailor his messages to that. But I think now he is just completely insulated. He's only surrounded by his billionaire friends and then folks at the White House who are telling him probably what he wants to hear majority of the time. I do think that he's got some people who are telling him, like, I do believe that Susie Wiles is in his ear saying that this is a crisis for the American people when it comes to affordability, but he just doesn't want to seem to listen.
In Trump's defense, and I think that might be the first time I've ever used those words in that order, one of the reasons he might be confusing the idea of the golden age with the gilded age is because he's functionally illiterate, right? Which might be why he's so popular on Fox News. It's like their audience sees something in him they can relate to. Kidding, we're having fun. Okay, this is everyone's favorite television show. Bad, blame Biden. Okay, so don't forget, as we continue to live in this television show and as this country continues to turn into one big train wreck, that actual data and numbers and real world financial struggles are not figments of your imagination. They're consequences of an administration that has conned much of its own country while also picking its pockets. Also, it's been like less than a year. I know people who have been completely obliterated financially as a result of these stupid tariffs. People cannot afford things, they can't get jobs, and yet they are told while they're struggling that actually they're wrong. I saw this strategy used in 2024 by the Democrats, and it did not work for them. And I hope to goodness it does not work for the remainder of this hellish nightmare we call Trump's second administration, but only time will tell. You know what I mean? In the meantime, if it's bad, don't forget, say it together, blame Biden. He's cognitively impaired and yet a mastermind behind all of modernity's economic anxiety. He was actually the body double that had been replaced and put in place these, tariffs that only were put in place. Happy holidays, everybody. I should help, but I don't even. It's too big of a fire. I feel like we need some almost like collective action. Like we need to come together as some sort of a working class and I don't know, topple the hierarchical and fascistic regimes that are there. I don't know, spitball. Happy New Year.